Good evening, and I'd like to take this opportunity to send the greetings from the churches of Christ in Cape Town, specifically Somerset West, where our missionary Ben is a preacher and also teaches at the school there. So Romans 16:16, the churches of Christ greet you. I pass this same message to them because I think it's important to recognize that we are a brotherhood who's spanned across the globe. So a little bit about Cape Town. Cape Town is one of the major economic hubs, apart from Johannesburg, Durban. Those are the other two. But it's pretty much on the close to the southern tip of Africa, so all the way to the bottom. But they're not the least. I want to thank also the church here at Keller for just providing the opportunity to be able to go visit Ben. One, to encourage him, to evaluate the work that he does, affirm our support and commitment, and to come bring a report of what he does. I think one of the things that missionaries always want is to know that they're valued, that their work is not in vain. And giving us the opportunity to go see him is just such an honor. We have other works that we support here at Keller, very mission-minded congregation. We have South Africa, as I just mentioned. We have Tanzania, Andrews Connolly School of Preaching, Singapore with CB there, with Terry, who we support, Baxter, Bible Institute, Costa Rica, China Missions, Eastern European Mission, Ukrainian Bible Institute, and Mission Printing. As you can see, we have quite a number of works that we do support. But today I'm here to just talk about the work in South Africa. So the demographic makeup of Cape Town is important because I'll explain this later on. It's made up of 42% one or more races, people who actually identify as one or more races. 38% Black African, 15% white, 1.4% Asian, and 1.9% who identify as other. It's important to recognize a little bit of the history of South Africa in regards to it being under apartheid, and therefore people were separated according to their race in these categories. But that was done away with in 1994, and so the church, in essence, is evolving from that. So our trip, there you go. Our trip started at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Me and Clarice left. Me and Clarice left here at 1 p.m., flew to Atlanta, had to reconnect, book a reconnecting flight that was meant to go to Amsterdam, but it was fully booked, so we had to change flights and went straight to Johannesburg. Our luggage did not make it due to that connection. Brother Ben was excited to meet us, so we arrived early a little bit. Actually, we made good time, so Brother Ben just came and was happy to see us, made the trip the next day to Tabletop Mountain so that he can give us a historical view of the layout of the land so that we can basically get a little bit of a history of what Cape Town is about. So Tabletop's way out there with the clouds covering it, and as we were going there, there's townships that we passed through. Still on our way to Tabletop. And bear with me, there's about 144 slides, so I'll try and make this quick. And as we're on top of Tabletop, we couldn't go all the way up to the tram because of the clouds. And it's pretty much sits on a low-lying area. There's a lot of commerce surrounding just port activities. There's also other economic activities surrounding manufacturing of vehicles, and so that's one of the economic drivers too that's within Cape Town. You can see that that's Robben Island, where actually Mandela was held prisoner for quite a while, and you could see it from up top where we were at. As Ben is always working, Ben is always going. That's one of the things. So he's there responding. One thing too, Cape Town held the 2010 World Cup. Spain won that year. For those who visited Thicket Road, if I can pause it. So visited Thicket Road, and one of the interesting things about Thicket Road, the preacher there is actually under the mentorship of Ben. This is the building within it. It's established in 1952, so Ben is actually a mentor to him. The name of him is Caleb Bennett, so Caleb really appreciates Ben for the guidance he provides in regards to him being a new preacher in some ways. He was part of the congregation there, and he was chosen because of his leadership qualities. Visited a township church there in Kailatisha, delivered some Bible in Hosa, and a brother there, Vutu, also sought, the encouragement of Ben. Ben told him he never quit the Lord's work, and that's what actually kept Vutu from there. So that's kind of a part of the township area. On our way now to Athlone Church, as we're traveling, there are Athlones established in a heavily Muslim area, and you'll see kind of some of the mosques that are surrounding that. That was established in 1922. So there's a lot of diversity also within Cape Town in terms of religion. And actually interesting, this church, Athlone, sits right opposite a mosque. This is actually Grassy Park. Interesting thing about Grassy Park, it was established by British missionaries, and they believe in a one-cup kind and women covered dressing. So they're very isolated, kind of keep to themselves. So it was just a little bit of interesting dynamics there. Actually, Steinberg is another congregation that has ties with Grassy Park too, but they're more interacted with the other congregation. Steinberg is actually next to the mosque, and so that's interesting. Riverside is one of the most affluent congregations there, just about 40, 50 members. And one of the issues that there is, because of the wealth, there's actually been some challenges with that. And so sometimes wealth does not necessarily mean unity in regards to the church functioning. So there's a challenge there in regards to just the church not getting along because of issues surrounding the property that was there. Interesting, because Ben actually recognizes a lot of the situations that exist. This year is East Street Church. Also has a school, about 150 members. Headed out to Muizenberg. I can't speak German or Dutch, so if I butcher it, you can correct me. So Cape Town's full of beaches, because pretty much it's surrounded by beaches all around. Really beautiful area, has some historical background in regards to just the establishment by the Dutch. Interesting signs there. One that was funny to me was, one had a club and spears, not bring weapons. And so I thought that was interesting. So that's Lundstrand. It's kind of a beach area. A mosque, actually a synagogue is there, so we also have a Jewish population out there. Really beautiful background, as you can tell. Another surrounding mosque area. So a rainbow on our way. So the rain did not come across the land. It stayed in the water, so it's still in the midst of drought, as we've been praying about that. One of my favorite things about this visit was actually meeting this young man. Zach is one of my favorite guys, and one of the gifts that one of the members, I don't know who gave it to him, but Zach was so thrilled, and he never really quit playing with that Star Wars toy. So that's a gift that he cherishes, and he was displaying with it. So thank you to whoever actually provided that gift. Zach got many hours of it, and I think he'll keep on enjoying it even when we're gone. So also some gifts that Mel was able to distribute. There was some dolls, some Barbie doll, and some lady got to enjoy it because Kayla is old. I don't think she's playing with Barbies anymore. She's very talented, so we got to learn a little bit about the kids. Very talented in terms of art, loves doodling. So a lot of people provided some of the Sharpies that she's really enjoying and using for part of her talent. She's about to start college soon. She's finishing up, so some of her artwork that's there, and Mel enjoyed her gifts of lotion. We got to really just see her tickled and enjoy that. Minecraft was a thing going on. Ben and his lesson plans, he's always working. Made a trip to Cape Town, to Johannesburg with them. Where is South African Bible College. That's about 2 hours away from Cape Town. So we took a flight up to South African Bible College to actually go say hi to the students there. We support one student out in South African Bible College. Most of you might not know, but Al Horn was the one who actually helped establish South African Bible College, and he's here with us. He worships with us when he has time to be able to. It sits about on 10 acres. That's part of the library. We actually have a very able man that who are able to keep the place running while Al is not there. And that's Fred Berg and Theo Rappert and Chris Berg. Got to meet them. A very interesting story about Fred. He actually used to work for the United Nations on the Republic of South Africa. So he left a lot from the world, and he decided to kind of become one of the teachers out there, or directors at the school. So there's a lot to be said. Interesting, he actually knows the current president of South Africa. So there's a lot of interesting stories surrounding just the administration of that. And the work in South African Bible College is great. I got to speak at chapel with Ben, and we talked about encouragement and also staying the course. That's some of the students who were there. We got to interact with them. And then I've met Edwin Nkosi. He's actually a graduate of Abilene Christian, and he's supported actually by the Church of Roscoe. If you guys don't know where Roscoe is, that's a little bit of West Texas. And he got to give us a tour of Deviton. He actually is a preacher at one of the churches there in Deviton. Sits in a township of about 500,000 people. We got to spend the day with him, actually taking some food to one widow's home because they had a loss in the family. So we got to drive out there and actually just do an act of service with Ben and also with Edwin Nkosi. He's very energetic, and it was such a joy to actually just meet him. That's one of the charts that just shows all the students who graduated. Went to Benoni Church of Christ too, visited there. Also, one of the interesting things about Benoni, if you remember, we had Marcel and Yap, who visited and worshiped with us here. They attended Benoni. And Benoni was actually started also by Al Horn, Eldred Eccles, and Tex Williams. A little bit of story there, whereas they wanted to go to Swaziland, but ended up starting the church there. But they ended up also starting a school of preaching in Swaziland. So a lot of ties out here within the congregation, and also the work in Benoni, and we want to say thanks for all the hard work there, Al, that I got to at least visit and see that. It's about 350 people who worship there. Got to visit some nice burger place out in Johannesburg, kind of old maybe drive-through. They bring your food to you. So you line up your car and you get to some. Really enjoyed some, neat barbecue, just from a cultural perspective. I got to bond a little bit with Ben, and when we were gone, the ladies actually had a ladies' Bible, a ladies' day in terms of what are the benefits of having friends in church. Clarissa was able to actually be in that gathering, and Ben preaching. As you can see, there's a sign behind there. You can see United in Christ, and you can see the hands there. That's kind of speaks to a little bit of the history I was talking about. So prior to 1952, the church actually got together, but 1952 is when apartheid was actually implemented, and because of that, the churches now had started worshiping separately. And so after apartheid was done away with, then the church had to try and reconcile how does that work. So that's still an ongoing process. So you still have integration that's trying to happen because of just that separation that actually happened. So prior to apartheid, the church worshiped together. After apartheid, they worshiped separately, but now because apartheid was done away with, bringing the church together is an important component. So United in Christ is a theme at Southwest, Somerset West, where Ben preaches. And they pride themselves quite a bit in being a very inclusive and very welcoming congregation. You can see that. It's made up of quite a bit of immigrants, migrants, because of the economic opportunities that are within Cape Town and South Africa in general, because it is one of the developed countries, and therefore the economy is a big driver in regards to people seeking opportunities. Mostly from Malawi and Zimbabwe is primarily the migrants are there. So they actually work with a lot of the migrant communities there. So the church in Somerset West has a migrant community from Malawi and Zimbabwe. And of course, that involves ministering to their needs. So we had service with them, and as you can tell, did meet with the elders there. They have 2 elders, and we got to hear and kind of get a reaffirmation of the work that Ben is doing, and they appreciate all the work that he does, and they see him as a very valued member of that congregation. And they also have a Somerset West preaching school. That's one of the buildings that's there. And they actually have a really neat program. When you actually decide to be baptized, you actually enrolled voluntarily in a 2-year course within the Bible school there. So you actually get to strengthen your faith through there. That's the library within there. That's one of the teaching rooms. Ben teaches there. The drought is severe. We actually went for sing-along in Atlantis. That's on the way to Atlantis. We still pray for rain because it is bone dry. It was a wonderful gathering of about 350 to 400 on that sing-along. Basically, it was kind of just all the congregations coming together. They do this once a month. One of the things that we enjoyed is just being with Ben and Mel. And we had one day that we went and ate out with them just to kind of have Ben take a little rest. As you can tell, Zach and Caleb were glad. Lots of seafood because it's close to the sea. A lot of just nice fellowship that we had with them. I can't say enough of a friend that I did meet, and it's a pretty place. It's beautiful. There's a lot of need. Some concerns too in regards to safety is one of the things that themes that you have to be aware, just because of the changes in economic outlook. There's a 50% unemployment within the youth, and that becomes a big driver in regards to crime. That's on our way back, and also want to just kind of say thanks again. Ben really appreciates the support and was really encouraged by us being able to go see him. And I will give the rest of the time to Spencer. Sorry, Spencer, if I've gone over my time.
Appreciate that report, Jeff. That was very encouraging. We're so glad y'all were able to go there. And I don't have as many slides, but I will probably talk more in each slide, so it'll all balance out. We'll be here for a while. So, Costa Rica, a mission trip, March 6th through the 13th this past month. I've been blessed with 4 opportunities now to go to Costa Rica. It's a fantastic place. The mission field is wide open. The people are very receptive and open to the word. And just thankful that we can, and being able to get there is not too hard, and there's a number of connections that are being more and more built up with brothers and sisters in Christ. So we took a group from here. Here they are. We had 4 of our college students. I'll read little reports that they wanted to share with everybody here in a moment. And we're also the crazy family that takes our kids with us and these mission trips. But everyone had a role. You're going to see in the pictures. I believe it was a very full week, full 7 days from beginning to end. But this was when we were all ready to go, right before we left the church building. One extra person joined us. He's here actually tonight, named Tyler Bush. He works with the Centerville Road Church, and he joined our team as well. So I wasn't the only guy and got to share the preaching and teaching responsibility. But there was a lot of prep work. First, we tried to build the team. We asked people in the college group who would like to go on this trip. Once we got the team, we started meeting together. I would give them Bible studies to look at. We would prep work on learn about Costa Rica. We had a Spanish class one evening with Kim Smith at a French restaurant, but we had a nice Spanish tutorial. We got little handouts and cutouts so we could learn basic phrases, and also the girls were teaching like children's classes, so different verbs they could use when talking to children about getting them when teaching a class. And so we had quite a bit of prep work, everything from we got 1,000 tracts from Mission Printing that were prepared with the church's information where we were going to be serving in Costa Rica. We were able to I went over to the Brown Terrell School of Preaching, and they have a Spanish department. And the director gave me 20 flash drives with 3,000 documents of sermons and commentaries and outlines that I could share with all the preaching students at the new preaching school in Costa Rica. We also brought a projector, one of our old projectors. We donated to the school there. We brought a number of little items that our friend Hayner wanted, certain seasonings that he can't buy at the store there, or we brought a baptistry that Greg Wilson has connections with, can get basically free portable baptistries to bring to international congregations. So we brought one of those. They were probably wondering what I was kind of bringing through the airport. It's safe. It's just a baptistry, a bunch of pipes and stuff. But anyways, a lot of prep work went into this week. But when we finally took off, it was nice to have all the extra hands, because we had about 20 bags, a stroller, a car seat, a bed, it was a mess. So we divided all the responsibilities out with the girls, and they could each take a couple bags with them. So this is a church we were working with, the Coronado Iglesia de Cristo, Church of Christ. This is my second time to visit this place, and this is where the main hub of our work for this week is in the San Jose area. Really quick aside connection, we've been in our process of looking for another minister to come work with us, and the visiting family today, Dan and Sarah, she's from San Jose, Costa Rica, and they come to find out her and 3 other families actually were the ones that helped plant this church years ago. So it's a really cool connection that we had with the family visiting tonight, as well as the congregation here in San Jose. So the church has gone from 4 families to doing pretty well. They had 80 to 90 people that would be present for worship, all done in Spanish, except when we were teaching, we could have a translator. There's not many elders or deacons in the whole country of Costa Rica. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there's 0 elders and deacons in the entire country right now. So it's still a maturing church. The church is growing still in the country, but this church has lots of potential. They have a strong minister. They have the new preaching school is here at this congregation. They've invested a lot in getting a new building over the years. They added a new portion to their building for the school and for new classrooms. It was a great place to be hosted. And so those were the brethren. We met so many people while we were there. So we did this, we had a number of focuses, but one thing we did was a very outreach-focused trip. We didn't do really a lot of like building and painting and things like that. I think that's good, and there's a time and place for that. But typically when I go on campaigns and mission trips, it's very outreach focused, and we try to get into the community. We try to get people to study the scriptures and to bring them and invite them to times where we can preach and teach. So this was one of the kind of the flyer that we had for the campaign. We had different material we would pass out. But we had 3 nights where we would focus on a special topic on the church, the work of the church, the position of the church, and the mission of the church, followed by a couple special things on Saturday. We had a youth day. We were able to do a kind of a youth event, and then we had a teacher seminar that all of the girls in our team took part in, playing a role in that. And then we had my first time ever doing a marriage seminar from my 9 years of expertise now, but I got to do a marriage seminar. But it was, I'll show you pictures of all of it. But our goal was simply to plant the seed with as many people as we could. So we got nearly all 1,000 tracts passed out. We also had lots of little flyers inviting people to the campaign. And even if we couldn't talk with somebody, we wanted to at least plant the tracts about how to become a Christian and introduce people to the Lord's church. And all of us played a role in that. We started each morning off with a devotional. We'd come together. The whole congregation, the membership was invited to do the campaigning in the morning. We had 2 blocks of door knocking in the morning, and then we'd have lunch and then go back out a few more hours in the afternoon. So we'd have different people from the congregation come, and they can either lead a song, or one of us, Tyler or I, would do the devotional each morning. We had some people that could speak English that would come. That was helpful when talking to people who speak Spanish. And so my friend Hayner, who has been my connection over the years, he came. He lives near Coronado, worked with us all week. And he brought in one of his friends from a couple hours away who spoke English and can also serve. And we also had some female translators that could help with when the girls were doing their lessons and talks as well. So this is on my right, your left, is Raphael. And then his wife is in the middle of the girls, Katya. And they were ones that the girls stayed with. They lived. He's from Costa Rica, came to the United States, spent many years here, was affiliated with Freed Hardeman. I think he has 3 or 4 kids, I forget which one. It's one of those, 3.5 kids that all went to Freed Hardeman as well. And now it was a time to retransition. Going into empty nesting mode, they decided to go back to Costa Rica to start a new Bible school, preaching school. And so they have many students who want to be part of this school. Of course, financial support is always a big challenge when you're starting a new endeavor like this, but they have a lot of part-time students, and I'll show a picture of that. And they have a couple full-time students already who have the means or have raised the support to attend full-time. So Raphael's our brother is doing a lot of teaching and preaching, and he's so thankful to have guest teachers come in. And I was able to do a short course on the life of Paul while I was there at night. So this is just beautiful. Going door knocking was just neat in itself, being surrounded by this fantastic, beautiful nature. And we would split up in a couple teams because we had our team of 10, and then we'd have the members, and then we had the translators. So we tried to divide up in 3 or 4 teams and tackle as much of an area as we could. And this was just a little snapshot from behind in one of the areas we were campaigning in. You see some people up at the house initiating discussions, introducing them to why they were there, and then hopefully trying to do a Bible study even at the front door. And people were receptive. Not all the people, but many people, especially if you were to compare it to, our culture is not as receptive to door knocking as they are in other cultures. And this was neat for many of actually I think everybody who went, it was their first foreign mission trip, and it was very addictive when you see people wanting to study the scriptures. And so that was really neat. We got to do 4 days of that, and all of us took part in it. We all separated. Even the kids could go along and pass out flyers, and sometimes having guys and girls and children and people with translators, it's curious. Who are these people? Why are they here? And we use that to our advantage to say, let's tell you why we're here, and introduce the gospel to people. This is just another snapshot. This was actually this was a scary road, wasn't it? This was the one that doesn't look like it, but right below is very straight. And I didn't realize, driving here my whole life, it's just kind of flat. And I didn't realize what this first gear, second gear, low gear, all that meant until I got there. And I can say it now, I was terrified. I don't remember, we almost didn't make it up, I felt like. I thought we were going to go down the hill. And I almost gave up. I said, let's just go somewhere else. It's too dangerous to go up high in these mountains and try to campaign. And I'm so glad we didn't. Because even this spot was one of the most difficult places to get to, and it was probably the most fruitful street that we went across. We had numerous Bible studies. People were open to continue. If we couldn't study them, we set up Bible studies for the church to follow up on. And I'm so glad we went to where we almost gave up in going to. Let's see, there's just some more of us breaking up into groups and passing out flyers. And again, just kind of a picture of some of the other people beside our group that were going out each day. Even when we'd have Bible studies, Candace and I had plans. We got books and stuff and snacks to occupy the kids while we're having Bible studies. That was actually in front of a church. We were having a study with somebody. And then this was me taking the picture while teaching a marriage seminar. So I said, everyone smile and act like you're happy. And we took a photo, and it was a great turnout. For that. The church there is pretty tech savvy. They live streamed a lot of the seminars and the lessons. So multiple people were watching what was taking place. So these were couples either from the congregation or from some local congregations. And it was really encouraging for me to prepare some thoughts. And then also, hopefully it was beneficial to those listening. This was a little snapshot of our Life of Paul class. So if you're wondering why we're studying this in the high school class this quarter, it's because I prepared to teach this all in a crash course week with these students. I forget how many there were, 16, 18 students or so. And it was from 8 to 10 p.m. every night. So we did our work all day, and it's like, we still got to do our Bible class at night. And the girls would do kind of a small group Bible study, and then they would come join us afterwards for the Life of Paul class. We broke up into a number of special sessions. This was a teacher seminar, a maestro seminar. And so we had all of the girls in our team take turns presenting kind of a 5 to 15 minute thought, however long their lesson lasted. And it was on the why we teach, the who we teach, when we teach, where we teach, a very practical hands-on. We actually shared our apologetics press curriculum that we've been working on and sharing those resources and showing them some of the tools and different ways that we break our curriculum down. We shared the memory work. We even shared kind of the Dropbox file with the teachers because they want to translate some of the material to continue teaching. And so all the girls took turns leading a portion of that class. That's Abby, and that's Gabby. Oh, and I forgot to say that's Sydney. And then who else do we have? Candace, which, by the way, we got people out of their comfort zone too. Most, some of them haven't taught before, and they'll teach kids, but they don't really teach adults. And using a translator, trying to work through that dynamic. I was really proud of them for preparing hard and also overcoming, something that they're not comfortable with. During our youth day, I coursed through Landon up there for an example showing that, hey, you can develop your talents starting at any age, and let Landon use a translator for the first time. And this is me teaching one of the youth classes on Sunday morning Bible class. We also had kids classes every day. Either when our adult stuff was going on, we'd offer a kids class, and all the girls took turns leading one of those studies. I think Rosie taught twice, and then each of them taught once. And also Gabby and Candace helped do the little kids, little nursery. There's no electricity in this room. So we were like, well, how are we going to do this? It's at 8 o'clock at night. So we found some lights we could put in the rooms. So we made it work. Of course, all the people in the team made buddies and encouraged each other. And it was cute seeing, which was someone's name? This is Ryder. Ryder and his little buddy, I think, was older than him, but he towered over her. And so this is they putting the baptistry together, the portable baptistry. We brought one a couple years back when Greg and I went. We knew they had a need for one, so we brought a baptistry, and word got around, hey, y'all have a connection to the baptistry. And I'm so glad they have one because I don't like going to the river there. There's crocodiles in the river. I think I've shared this with you before. I'm like, I'll sprinkle if I have to. I mean, I'm not getting in there with the crocodiles, and so I'm glad they can immerse now in this portable thing that can hold enough water for that. Everyone There really wasn't a lot of downtime. It was still fun, but even during the breaks, we would, this is stereotypical. It wasn't just the girls helping cook. I mean, the guys help do dishes and things like that. This just happened to be what they were doing at this time, helping prepare the meals, all family-style congregational meals, almost for every the whole week, and it was part of their kitchen. And so actually one day toward the end of the week, we got them a cake saying thank you for all the good, yummy food. They really took care of us the whole time. Some times like this these were just impromptu fellowships. Let's go get a cup of coffee and go to the bakery and just spend some time together. And that alone is so important to other Christians, to missionaries, and just fellowshipping and spending time with them. And this was just a special moment. We spent in just 45 minutes just kind of drinking a cup of coffee and enjoying each other's company. We had one free day. The last day we did kind of a free day, and we drove up into the mountains. It was just unreal to try to explain how beautiful it was. This was a volcano. It took me the entire time to convince Landon this is a volcano. He's like, no, volcanoes go up and red lava. And I'm like, no, this is a volcano. And we don't want it to erupt like it did back in 19 whatever, and it destroyed part of the city. And so, but I think we were safe. And well, they had us park our cars backwards, remember? And they said, just in case you have to get out quickly. I'm like, really? I mean, we're a mile away from the cars. Anyways, so the last day, the day before we left, we had the Lord's Day. And after Sunday morning worship, they called all of us up to the front. And we weren't expecting this, and this was really special. They shared some words that were translated, and it really was encouraging what they had to say. And we went there ultimately to serve. We said, let's make this week full. Let's do what we can to share our resources and talents. Let's help. But of course, if you've ever been on a mission trip, you always come back the one who feels like you were served, and you know it's better to give than to receive because you don't understand what it's like. The church was so good to us and so kind to us, and it was like we were trying to outdo one another in doing good, Romans 12, verse 10. And I think the best way to explain, the way they treated us and the way I want to read some of I had each person kind of write a paragraph or so for me to share with you all tonight. So let me quickly do this. Rosie had this to say. It's your birthday, by the way. Happy birthday. Had this to say about her experience. We went to Costa Rica to serve and encourage, but after spending a week working with the Church of Christ in Coronado, we were the ones served and encouraged instead. I'm thankful to God and all our supporters because of whom we were able to learn from and teach our brethren and reach out to the lost in the San Jose province. From door knocking in the city and the countryside, having spontaneous roadside Bible studies, practicing our Spanish, learning to cook Costa Rican food with the ladies of the church, meeting our Christian family in another part of the world, and getting to teach and encourage them, it was overall a wonderful experience and the perfect way to serve God. I loved every minute of it and would recommend this opportunity to anyone and everyone. And I know they want another opportunity because I think they messaged me again yesterday, when are we going back? I'm like, we'll work on it. Let's see, Sydney Ross, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone who supported us on our journey to Costa Rica. The love and support was so amazing. Costa Rica was my first foreign mission trip. I went in not really knowing what to expect. I was nervous, but very excited at the same time. On my flight there, I took some time to think and ask myself what I could do to make a difference there and what ways I could help encourage people. The short answer would be teamwork. I left there so encouraged and uplifted to have worked with a strong team from home and from the Coronado Church of Christ. Every day we went door knocking for hours in different areas. We would split up and go with different people so we could help translate. They could help translate as we invited them to the lectureship. One thing that really got my attention was the amount of interest people had in wanting to hear about the Bible. Here at home, many people seem to ignore it or not want to talk about it, but they loved to hear what we had to say, and some even stopped what they were doing to have a Bible study. As everyone shortly found out, Spanish really isn't my best language to speak. She's the one who thought hola was hala, and so anyways, there's more where that came from. But they loved to. But there they loved to hear what we had to say, and some even stopped what they were doing. Oh, I already said that. Okay, but after many laughs and trying to memorize one sentence the whole week, I was able to do one thing. That would be singing That would be singing praises to God in Spanish. I would have to say that singing was definitely my favorite part of the trip. We sang the same songs we do here, but to hear them sung in a different language was heartwarming. The journey was amazing. I think it's safe to speak for all of us that we came home with lots of memories, laughs, inside jokes that we'll carry on today, and most importantly, so encouraged. I know they left a mark on our hearts, and I hope we did the same for them. Again, thank you for the love and support. Gabby Killian said, Costa Rica was my first mission trip ever, so I had no idea what to expect, especially because it was also my first time going out of the country. I had an idea of how we would be serving and doing things around the Coronado Church of Christ, but what I didn't know was how much I was going to fall in love with everyone there. Between them teaching us Spanish and the ladies teaching us how to cook, and of course we taught them how to say howdy y'all, and so many more things. I say the memories and the friendships made in Costa Rica are ones that will last a lifetime. We initially went to Costa Rica to serve them, but I feel like they served us. I'm getting a pattern here. The love and compassion that they showed everyone was heartwarming. I'd like to thank everyone who supported us and prayed for us during our trip. It was really appreciated. And just a few more. Abby Smith said this. When people ask how my Costa Rica trip was, all I can say to them was amazing. I can't think of any other words to describe it. From the people we meet, to the food, down to the sights we saw, it was all amazing. It was the first time I've ever been out of the country, even the first time away from home that I 100% did not want to come back. And I know that I'm not the only one who felt this way. The Coronado Church of Christ made us feel at home from the very start. And there were times where I completely forgot that we were in another country. One of our favorite things we did during the days was the door knocking campaign. It was incredible to see how receptive the people in Costa Rica were in having strangers knock on their door and hand them a piece of paper talking about the Church of Christ. I remember on our first day of door knocking, we were walking down the street and a man stopped us and asked us what we were handing out and started asking questions about the Church of Christ. There were several Bible studies from the door knocking that I had the blessing to sit on and listen. That was such an eye-opening experience, and I learned so much just from listening. I can't properly put into words how thankful I am to have had this opportunity or how blessed I am to have from what I've learned, but I loved every moment of it. It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and I would go back in a heartbeat. And so I have obviously a lot to say, but it's almost, our time's wrapping up. Tyler Bush, who's visiting, also had some words to share. He was thankful for the evangelism opportunities and how incredible it was to see people interested in studying. And he also was thankful for all the opportunities to preach, and I was glad that I had to preach 15 more lessons and let you do some of them. And it was just a wonderful team that we had. And I conclude with the last two slides. This is a cup of, this is like a coffee thing. And the reason why I have a picture of this is how they make coffee in Costa Rica, at least how they, brew it. And you just have this like cloth thing, and you put coffee in it, and you put hot water in it, and it kind of seeps into the pot. And it's a little different than most of us do. Some of us do it like this, maybe, I don't know. Some of us just push a button. Some of us put a cup and push a button. Some of us do a European thing. Bottom line, the reason why I thought about this was, they like coffee too. They like coffee. I like coffee. A lot of us like coffee. And they're people, just like you and me. They might do things a little bit different than the way that I would do it. But bottom line, every time I get a chance to travel, it's just a reminder how people are people. And people need Jesus. People have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and they need the gospel just like we do. And so I thought this coffee pot kind of brought that to my mind. And then I conclude with this picture here, because I didn't know if y'all knew I was going to show this or not. I like this picture, kind of looking over the city. What's really neat is when we're all on the same mission together. You talk about unity and having the same purpose and the same mind and the same love and the same spirit. It brought my attention to Philippians chapter 2 and verse 2. Complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and one mind. And then it says in verse 4, let each person look not only to his own interests, but to the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus. Relationships are significantly stronger whenever they are focused and they're mission-minded. Whenever Christ is part of a relationship, a friendship, a brethren relationship, a marriage, whatever it is, that's where you can find true unity. And so if you ever get to serve the Lord together, and that's what we do here in Keller, that's where your bonds will grow. And I believe that's what Philippians 2 was also teaching. I know it's about 6 o'clock. We've covered a lot of ground from a couple countries, from one part of the world to the other tonight. Appreciate you, Jeff, and sharing those thoughts. And thankful, I'm glad I was able to share a little bit about what we went through. This congregation is mission-minded and plans to be even more mission-minded. And there's going to be lots of opportunities locally, domestically, and foreign in the future. And I pray that you'll take advantage of some of these so you can experience what this team got to do. Right now, we're going to sing a song. We have an invitation song that's been selected. If you feel the need to respond to the invitation, to be immersed into Christ, to ask for prayers, whatever it is, you can make that need known right now while we stand and while we sing.